It is a triple threat match for the OTW Heavyweight Championship. There are no countouts or disqualification. The first person to score a pinfall or submission will become the OTW Heavyweight Champion.
Old time wrestling. We're old school, man. We don't need flash and stuff. You'll see at the show tonight. There's no ring music. Our guys get their character over by walking out and knowing how to talk. We're old school. We don't need to do flips and flops. I think there's a tag team now called The Revival on NXT. Fists, not flips. We're the same way. I mean, we have some guys with some flashy moves, but we want to bring back that old school, family-friendly atmosphere that made you believe, even if it's only for 10 minutes that you believe. If there's only one guy you believe in, we want you to believe. There's so many times in wrestling that disbelief is, or belief is lost, and that's the magic that you lose. I think WWE does a good job of capturing it, and certain independents do, but then there's others that just almost make a mockery of pro wrestling. We don't like that.
Why here? I started training here when I was 18, back in 2006. I stayed with them ever since. I'm a very loyal person. It's kind of like how I follow my own personal code as a human being. The trainer here at the time, he was very tough on me, but very good to me, taught me how to be a man. I credit a lot to him for that. And when he came to this building, I came with him, along with Brian and Mick, who you already talked to. And these guys are my family, these guys are my friends. So why here? We're the most passionate. We train our asses off. We're dedicated. I mean, we got all the right tools here. And like I said, we're a family first and foremost. And that's what keeps me here the most, actually, is just being with my family.
He's back! I'm back!
Hasn't gotten any better since I left, huh?
So when I was looking for promotions, I was living in New Brunswick, which is more of the central New Jersey area. And I went online and I was looking for a school, and I found this one. And I called them up, and they were one of the most reputable schools in the Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York area. And they had said, and this was, 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago, 11 years ago. And they had said, well, you got to come in for a tryout. We got to see if you're athletic, because, this is a very demanding endeavor. It requires a lot of strength, speed, explosiveness, resilience. The people who do this and do it well are the highest of high-level athletes. And so I came in for a tryout, and they had to accept me to start training. And I did the tryout, and I did all right. I did fairly well, and I saved a little bit of money. And then 2 months later, I started training, because I said, you know what, no regrets. I'm just going to give this everything I have.
It's home. I love OTW. I started training here 9 years ago, and it's a place that, although might not have the biggest crowds and the most flashiest production, I think we make up for it in hard work, a family type atmosphere, and we run every single week, and no one can top us on that. No one can do it. So. OTW? I was a fan since I was a kid. My brother was a fan. He's older than I am. And I just never stopped liking. He grew up, and I guess maybe I'm just a big kid, but that's how.
That's twice, Brian! Get up!
okay, so that's a bit of a loaded question. I do this because I love it. I remember turning 18, 19. I just graduated high school. I went to Rutgers for college. And I remember at that time in my life having some regrets, like, oh, I wish I'd, just played basketball a little bit longer in high school. I wish I'd dedicated this to myself. And I remember thinking, like, this is not a good feeling. It doesn't feel good to feel like this. And I was such a huge fan of the WWE when I was growing up. It was what I loved. And I just decided right then and there, I was like, you know what, this is what I've always loved. It's what I've always wanted to do. And so I'm going to pursue it. And I'm going to pursue it with as much ferocity as possible. And if it doesn't work out, it won't be because I didn't do the work to get there.
I love to entertain, first and foremost. This is why I do this. I didn't grow up the traditional way of loving wrestling as a kid. It's like some other people did. I've always been into acting and theater. I got into wrestling at a much later age and thought it was a better fit because I liked that it was athletic at the same time. I just fell in love more with what it incorporated, the live showmanship every single week. So I really just enjoy this, and I enjoy riding to shows with my best buds in the car. Just the whole experience for me is just worth it.
Come on, Brian. Sir. Come on, Brian. That's it.
Around every single corner, you can't stop working. Like, it's a nonstop. Because, oh yeah, you wrestle your 10 minutes on a Saturday. Well, you need to be in the gym, and you need to eat right, and you need to get up and get to training and learn how to this and that. Whereas, and that's with every sport, you know what I mean? I understand that, but the constant grind, and then it's a sport that's all about making perception reality. So to constantly have to deal with that, it's not like, oh, I can walk up and hit a home run every time. Well, my home run may not be a home run to 60 fans here or 100 fans there, so it's tough.
So that's a loaded question because it depends on how you define training. So to be the best at this, or to be at a very, very high level at this, the competition is so fierce at the highest levels, right? In the WWE, there's maybe 150 guys at any given time on the roster. So you're competing with people from all over the world for one of those spots. So you need to, A, be physically able to do this as an athlete. So that means you need to be fast, quick, agile, strong, resilient, explosive. In addition to that, you need to look the part. You need to have some size. You need to look like a professional athlete, a professional product. And then in order to do that, you have to train in the gym. I probably do 2 hours a day in the gym, another half hour of maintenance, which is sports massage or cryotherapy or electrostim therapy, something just to keep the body recovering. That's probably 2 hours a day. I normally do that around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then throughout the day, I'm eating, based on the calories I need. I'm eating, carbohydrates, protein, fats. Like, people don't realize it, but eating and getting enough nutrients is a full-time job in and of itself. So I would say on any given day, you're putting in, before you've even stepped foot in a ring, you're putting in probably 4 or 5 hours a day minimum. And Malcolm Gladwell always says, he's got the 10,000 hour rule, which says to be world class at anything, you need to hit 10,000 hours to really truly be great, to be best in the world type level, the people who are the top 1% of their profession. And so it's just, a grind of 4 or 5 hours a day. And then, on the weekends or in the evenings, when you have time, you put in another hour in the ring, or you put in another 2 hours in the ring. So there's no set number of hours, but it's a very high amount of time. There's no time for going out, and you miss out on a lot of things, but this is a commitment that I made, and I'm going to stick with it.
Hey, congratulations, you won! So I'm going to live up to my word. But as I said, stipulations. Number 1, lumberjack match. Handpicked lumberjacks. PRR.
You're either in or you're not. There's no half-assing, and it's so easy to smell it out if you do. There's certain guys sitting in that locker room that tell me they're in, and I know they're not, and that's okay. And there's certain guys that aren't in and admit it, and that's okay. Not everyone's trying to go next level. Some guys just want to be weekend warriors, and I respect that. I want you to tell me the truth and then prove the truth. What you say, I'm all in, well then be all in. Be at training, get in the gym, eat right, work hard, watch tape. It's a never-ending job. If you're not all in, do what you want, have fun, come here, and we'll make fun for everyone.
Number 2, the winner of this match will be declared the president.
But some of the guys here are just so good to me that the training aspect, I don't know if I could ever fully walk away. I guess, if money ever became an issue, yeah, you know what I mean? But in the grand scheme, no. Well, no one can get in that ring without being trained, in the sense of on a live show, in any promotion, unless that promotion's a crappy promotion that you shouldn't be going to see. They get trained, they learn how wrestling works, how to properly protect yourself in the ring, how to take advantage of your opponent in the ring, and you perform.
It hurts. I think a lot of people in the mainstream shoot straight to, oh, it's fake, or oh, it's scripted, or oh, do you guys practice beforehand? Like, no, like it hurts. Like, we're taking real falls and we're taking real risks for entertainment. Like, I mean, unless you're in WWE, like you're not making that much money doing this, and we're doing it for the fans. We're doing it because we love this business. So yeah, I think one thing I would tell fans that they don't know, or they think they don't know, is that it hurts.
Brian.
Let's take him out of the corner. Come on.
Shake it up, Brian.
Come on, Brian. Come on, Brian. Out of the corner. Let's go. Come on.
So, like any athletic endeavor, full contact sport like football, wrestling, lacrosse, there is a risk of injury. And as an athlete, you try to mitigate these risks by training yourself technique-wise properly, right? A lot of the things we do in the gym in terms of mobility work, flexibility work, strength work, that's all to prevent injuries from happening. Having said that, they're going to happen sometimes, and you got to be prepared for that. I myself am just coming back. Today's actually my first day back after 2.5, 3 months with a small tear in my knee. But you have to have the mindset of nothing is going to stop me. So when this tear happened, when I went and saw a physician, he said, hey, you can start rehabbing right away. I was rehabbing that evening 4, 5, 6 hours a day. I was icing, I was doing compression therapy, I was doing massage therapy, everything possible to get back. And you have to have this mindset of you know, there is nothing that I couldn't come back from. And that's not from a cockiness perspective, that's just from a confidence perspective and knowing that, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm willing to give everything to be the absolute best, to be the 1% of the 1% at this. So it's 99% mental. So the toughest thing for me is, well, I'll take your question in two directions. So the toughest thing physically is the maintenance required of your body. So we do a lot of, you know, you work out, you train in the ring. A lot of this puts a lot of stress on your body. And so in order to continue to do this at a very high level, the maintenance required of, as I mentioned, the massage, the stimulation, the ice, the compression, that stuff is what's hard. That stuff is what is really time consuming. And that's the stuff that, you know, you get home, it's 9 o'clock, you're just exhausted, and you've got to get these things, plug them in, put the electrodes on your leg and turn it on so that it sends the electrical signals through your muscles so you can recover, so you can get back in the gym as soon as possible the next day. So physically, that's the hardest part. Mentally, it's also very difficult because this is an industry where, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel comes after years and years and years. You know, if you want to be a player in the NFL, you know, you play in high school, you play in college, and then in college you're recruited, you know, scouts are coming and talking to you, so you kind of always see that light at the end of the tunnel. In this industry, you could be putting the work in for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 years before you even see a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel. And so there are times where you just go, oh man, am I on the right path? Am I doing this the right way? And you just have to be steadfast and say, you know what? I'm going to shut out all the noise and I'm just going to keep pushing. And listen, that gets mentally taxing for the best of us, and that's the toughest part.
Come on, Brian.
The most challenging part of this, I think, for me, is just oversaturation in general with the business. There's a lot of different personalities, so it's all about right place, right time. So I think it kind of sucks that like luck has more of a part to play with it than actual skill or dedication or training does. A lot of it's who you know and where you are when you are there.
Come on, Brian.
So when we're here at Old Time Wrestling, one of the tenets of our philosophy is, you know, the business and the industry, especially when it comes to WWE, can shift and does shift. You know, as you mentioned, there was an emphasis placed on the microphone and entertainment aspect, and now there's kind of an emphasis placed on the in-ring product, and there may be times where it goes back and forth. So what we try to do is just say, okay, listen, here's a list of everything that would potentially make a successful WWE superstar, right? The microphone skills are part of that, the athleticism is part of it, the in-ring skills are part of that. Let's check off each box. So we spend here a lot of time in front of the microphone. You know, that red light is how you connect with the audience. And without being able to connect with the audience, you know, you're not going to be very successful in this industry. It's you know, I've heard some very, very smart people who've been very successful in this industry tell me that this is a TV business. This is the entertainment industry. And so if you are unable to connect visually with the millions of people at home, you're starting off at a disadvantage.
Come on, Brian. Come on, Brian. Come on, Brian.
Off the ropes, come on.
It depends. I mean, there's a lot of trust that comes to wrestling in general. I've worked other places where, you know, I've never met the guy before. I feel to put on the best matches possible, yeah, you should have a good relationship with who you're in the ring with, because there needs to be that level of trust. And I think the stronger the trust and the stronger the bond, the better the match will be, because you guys are willing to take more risks for the fans because you trust the other guy.
Come on, Brian.
My overall goal is WWE. I understand that everything doesn't work perfectly. It's not a perfect world, and dreams don't come true for everybody. But my primary goal is WWE. I 2 years ago lost close to 45 pounds to get myself in better shape for the opportunities to, you know, see scouts, possibly go down to camps. So that's my overall goal. I would love to join their roster, travel the world, entertain. Do the Make-A-Wish stuff, all the charity events, all of that. I just really admire what they do as superstars. I like that they get the chance to go outside the box and do these other things. And that's why I said, again, first and foremost, I'm here to entertain. And the best place to do that in this business is WWE.
I have been fortunate enough to be invited to Orlando and Tampa, which is where the WWE does some of their evaluations, and I've done, you know, fairly well. They've been nice enough to keep in touch with me. I've done some very small work with them at television events. And so finally, after 8-9 years, I was able to see just a little crack and a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And that really got me very fired up. But at the same time, I'm also prepared for, you know, it could be 4 or 5 years before I actually am able to walk through that door. And I've just got to do everything I can to maximize my chances of that happening.
Tryouts. They do tryouts down at WWE's Performance Center. We've had 2 guys go down there, but they're 2 guys that are 2 of our better shaped guys that deserve to be down there. And for my money, I'm telling you this, if anybody ever sees this, they deserve to be signed. And if anyone tells me different, they're wrong.
That's it, Brian.
I think independent wrestling is really hot right now, and wrestling as a whole is hot. But there's certain promotions that have these hidden gems, and I think we have 3, 4, 5, 6 hidden gems on our roster. And unfortunately, due to lack of funds or the small, you know, just like any small business, you sometimes just can't get your name out there enough to survive. I hope that this opens the eyes that, you know, in a little nook and cranny of Williamstown, New Jersey, you can find some of the best talent. And maybe if a kid sees it, it fires him up and lets him, you know, go out and work out for his dream because he's from some small town in Bumble F, New Jersey, then good for him. You know, I hope it helps shine a light on what, I don't know, the American dream, the backbone, the people that actually work as hard but don't get the recognition for it. Maybe that's corny, but that's how I feel.
3 minutes remaining in this match. 3 minutes remaining.
Watching this, like, come out to OTW, like, see what we're about, see the dedication we put in, see the hard work that some of these young kids even are putting in. I mean, there's something here for everyone, and you don't get that a lot of places. A lot of places are quick to turn you away. We're quick to give you a chance and let you get involved in the business that you love.
Check out OTW. Google search local wrestling promotions near you. You're going to find a gem. And pro wrestling has a lot of great aspects to it outside of just being a wrestler. There's ring announcers, there's referees helping out, just guys being managers. And I think that the ability to bring such a wide diverse group of people together makes pro wrestling one of the most interesting things. I bet you if you go to a football field, 85% of the guys are exactly the same attitude, or in a basketball field or a soccer field. You got so many diverse characters, and then those characters become larger than life just for the sake of entertaining you. Give it some respect. Pro wrestling doesn't get enough of it.
30 seconds. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18. Here's your winner by pinfall, Brian Johnson.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Every single promotion has flashy lights, entrance music. They bring in this name, that name. They got this talent and that talent. I would bet well more than the price of our admission that if you bring a family of 5 here, kids, mom and dad, they're going to have as good as a time with as close seats and with a family-friendly atmosphere that they will get at any single show in the country and the most affordable. That alone is a selling point. They just said it all the time that Vince's job was to put smiles on faces. Vince McMahon, WWE owner. I think we do the best job of putting a family-produced professional wrestling show, smiles on those kids' faces at an affordable price that no one can match. Our only hindrance, like I said, is we're a smaller promotion. So small that it's tough to get our name out there. We're the best kept secret in New Jersey, without a doubt.